Okay, let's dive right in. If you're a grad student, a researcher, an academic, you know that feeling, right? You are just drowning in PDFs, and that literature review is threatening to consume your entire life.
But what if I told you there's a way to completely flip the script on your research? Like, starting today. That academic clock is always ticking, isn't it? Well, this workflow, this is the solution you have been waiting for.
We're going to look at a workflow that takes that mountain of papers and turns it from this, static, passive archive into a dynamic, living knowledge network. And listen, this isn't just about saving time. It's about fundamentally elevating the quality of your thinking.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to define what I call the research labyrinth and why the old ways just don't work anymore. Then we'll walk through the 4 phases to get you out: harvest, synthesize, map, and finally, crafting that zero draft.
All right, first things first, let's put a name to the problem. I call it the research labyrinth, and let's be honest, we've all been trapped in it. And it's because the tools we've been using are, well, they're just fundamentally broken for what we need them to do.
The real villain here is something called fragmented extraction. Think about it. We jump from paper to paper, right? We highlight a sentence here, a paragraph there. It's like trying to build a giant, complex puzzle, but we're only allowed to look at one tiny piece at a time. Of course we can't see the big picture.
And this right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the problem. The old way, it's a passive consumption trap. Your notes are basically built for digital storage, not for actual thinking. But the new way, that creates a dynamic knowledge network. All of your sources are held in active memory, just ready for you to reason across them. And that shift, that is exactly why that aha moment is so hard to find with the old method.
So how do we build this dynamic network? Well, it's a 4-phase workflow. It's designed specifically to move you from being a passive consumer of information to an active synthesizer of knowledge. So let's jump into phase 1.
Okay, phase 1, harvesting. And the real key here is a mindset shift. You stop being a manual searcher, endlessly scrolling, and you become the director of your own autonomous research agent.
This is where everything changes. Instead of you spending hours, maybe even days, just typing keywords into a search bar, you give NotebookLM's web agent a specific mission. Something like, hey, go find me the top 20 foundational papers on ring attention from the last 3 years. The AI doesn't just give you a list of links. No, it actually reads and understands the content, curating this clean, high-authority haystack of sources for you. I mean, a task that used to take a whole week can now be done in minutes. It's a game changer.
So once you've harvested all your sources, or maybe you just uploaded your existing library from Zotero, we get to phase 2. Active synthesis. This is where we get to go way beyond the limits of our own human working memory.
And this is all possible because of a massive, massive technological leap, a context window of over 10 million tokens. Now, to put that into perspective for you, that's like being able to hold the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy in your working memory all at once. It means you can upload dozens of PDFs, entire books, whatever you have, and the model can reason across every single word on every single page of every single document simultaneously.
And because it sees everything at the same time, it can do something incredible called cross-document reasoning. Just imagine, it could spot that a technique described in a 2019 biology paper was subtly contradicted by a 2023 study in a completely different field, 2 fields that probably never even cite each other. It connects the dots that are just, well, they're humanly impossible to track across 50 different sources.
Okay, so you have all this incredible synthesized knowledge, but how do you make sense of it all? That brings us to phase 3, mapping the connections. And this is where we get to go beyond just text.
Now this is one of my absolute favorite features. You can literally turn your reading list into a podcast. I'm not kidding. Using the audio overview feature in debate mode, you can actually listen to AI hosts argue and banter about the conflicting theories found inside the papers you uploaded. This lets you hear the tensions and the gaps in the literature in a way that just reading a wall of text never could.
You can also create visual maps in an instant. You just ask the chat to generate a comparison matrix, just like this one, organizing all your sources by their methodology or their sample size or literally any other variable you can think of. What used to take a week of painstaking work in a spreadsheet now happens in seconds.
And that brings us to the final and, I think, the most powerful phase of all, the zero draft. This is the ultimate cure for that terror of the blank page.
But before you can draft anything, you need to be able to trust the tool, right? This system operates on something called a Closed Resource Information Trust, or CRIT.
What that means is the AI is grounded only in the sources you provided. It cannot make things up. It can't pull from the wider internet. If the information isn't in your haystack, the model will not invent it. And that is absolutely crucial for academic integrity.
And here it is, the ultimate payoff. You can now just instruct the model, write a literature review section based only on these sources, and boom, it will generate a fully formed draft complete with inline citations that point you directly back to the evidence in your own documents. This is how you finally escape the labyrinth.
You see, this entire workflow, it represents a fundamental shift in how we do research. The future isn't about finding more and more information, it's about developing a deeper, more profound understanding of the information we already have. So the takeaway here is really simple. Stop searching, start synthesizing.